Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Chelsea and I am your friendly neighborhood CMPC, or Certified Mental Performance Consultant. I'm also a certified personal trainer and I've been in the military for almost 13 years. I'm really excited today because we're doing another installment of CMPC Reacts to Memes, and we have a special guest, part 2. Last one was my brother, and this one we have my sister. So everybody give a warm welcome to my little sister, Katie. How's it going, Katie?
Good. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for
So
being
honored.
Yeah, I'm so excited. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, so my name is Katie. I am the baby sister of the two. I am a dog mom. I just turned 30. You'll probably see my Rottweiler wandering around back here soon. He's my little shadow. Let's see. I am currently in the process of transitioning careers. And so that is something that has really been a great tool for me to have, is this mental skills. I've relied on Chelsea a lot with a lot of these things. But yeah, live in Washington, Pacific Northwest. Lives in Alabama a little bit, Roll Tide. And yeah, so mental skills has been a huge part of our lives without even knowing it. We were all athletes, and so I would have very much benefited if we had had more knowledge about this when I was in high school, and we were being competitive and dealing with all those things. But recently, as an adult, I've had, like I said, a lot of transition happening. So with like the interview processes and, when I've had big presentations, I've really been able to rely on Chelsea and the things that she's been able to teach me to have a better mental preparation for it. So go mental health. Yay.
Yay. Yeah, I love that you bring up the career transition. This is a big one. And if you think about the world of athletics, think about going from high school to college, or from college to the real world. As an athlete or non-athlete, those are big changes. And then once you're out in the real world and you're moving around in your career, that can be really taxing, and can be, if you've never done it before, it can really weigh on you. Am I doing this right, or could I be doing this better? So that's definitely something that I have worked with athletes who are moving out of their college athletic career and into the real world, and they're kind of like, well, what do I do now? Who am I outside of this thing that has been my whole life for a very long time? So great example there. And I just want to say, yes, we are actually related. I know you're all thinking it. I don't know where this came from. As you saw with my brother, they're both dark hair, dark features, and then this just, it's the middle child syndrome. I don't know what to tell you. So and with that, let's get to it. CMPC reacts to some memes. Okay, so we're going to start with this one. We're big animal lovers in this family, so we got to have some animals on here. Learn to look at things from different angles. What's your reaction to that?
I just want to pet them. They're so fluffy. But yes, I like how not this really matters too much to the mental health stuff, but they both have like the green eyes, and one's right side up, one's upside down. And they're probably seeing completely different worlds, but they're both content and living their life.
Yeah, and I also like that this shows, like, you can be looking at the same thing as somebody else and see something totally different, right? So having a mindset of positive outlook, or growth and moving through challenges, can be one perspective of a situation, and the other one can be a really negative outlook, and this is so hard and I'm never going to make it through. And that'll change your world, even if you're moving through the same situation. Do you have an example of where that's happened in your life?
Oh yeah. Actually, with the whole career transition thing for a while there, I was very frustrated for a long time, because it seemed like I just graduated with my degree. I was promised all these things in college. Oh, you have all these opportunities that are going to come to you. The world's your oyster, blah, 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 which is true, but it did not come the way I expected it to. It was a very long, taxing process. I was expecting to walk out with my degree and have job offers waiting for me, and it took a long time for me to get into the position where I am now, where I can, I am in the process of transitioning. But for a long time, I was very, my mental outlook was very negative and was like, oh, well, I'm never going to get, this job that I deserve. I put all this hard work in for nothing. And, that doesn't help anything. That only makes it worse. And it's not going to change your, that mentality is not going to change your environment. And so it was, of course, funny. Once I finally was like, okay, what's going to happen is going to happen. We're just going to keep doing what we can do, keep working on my interview questions, my interview skills. Once I finally just like took a step back and was like, okay, I'm going to let it happen the way it's meant to happen. Boom, things happen.
Yeah, isn't that funny how that works? Sometimes that acceptance piece, it's like the universe is like, okay, now I'm going to reward you for doing what I need to do in the first place and give you what it is
Calm
that
down.
you're looking for.
Exactly.
Yeah, so if you had to rate this one on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best, what would you put this meme at?
It's got animals, so I'm not going to give it a couple points. I would give it a 7.5.
Nice. Okay, strong.
I know there's me better ones coming.
All right. So meme number 2. There's a guy in a coffee shop sitting at a table, not on his phone, not on his laptop, just drinking his coffee like a psychopath.
That definitely makes a nod in today's world how technology runs our lives. And in some ways it's a great thing, and we've come so far and it's made so many leaps in technology, but at the same time this is going to make me sound really exposing here, but I mean I can't imagine just sitting there and like, what are you doing?
The reason that I included this one is because it leans into the idea of like being really present in the moment. Which is something that is really hard for a lot of people to do. I really struggle with it. I'm very much a planner and I'm looking forward to the next thing. So I can move through my list in my day that I have in my head and on my calendar. So
right.
Imagining just sitting somewhere and being still and being present and not worrying about whatever else you have going on in the day is a really hard concept for a lot of people to grasp. So that's why I included this one, because I think that we all, if we were sitting in a coffee shop and we saw somebody who was just kind of like there, I think this would all be in our minds, right? Like, what are you doing?
Right.
But it's an important skill to have. How are you when it comes to like being present in the moment?
I mean, to be honest, I wish I was better. I think a good example, actually, last night we had the Aurora Borealis that happened. And it takes things of magnificence like that really is able to make me, we were out there, I didn't have my phone or anything. I was just sitting up there in awe of this, beautiful nature thing. But like on a day-to-day basis, that is not very likely to happen, to be honest. Like, I think I would definitely... See, we didn't go camping when we were younger. I played part of that on that. A lot of people like to disconnect and like, go out and be with nature and stuff. We never did that. So I was never taught. No, that's a cop out, but I definitely could work on that. I will be honest.
What do you think would be different about your life if you did take a few minutes a day to just sit and be present in the moment?
I would want to think that I would have more mindfulness, like being able to, just sit in the peace and enjoy it. Because I know there's times where like I'm at work and it's been an insane day, super busy, and I've just been so overstimulated. I'm just sitting there at my computer, not doing anything, just like zoning out. And in that moment, I'm thinking like, this is nice, not having to worry about anything, thinking about anything. But it gets to the point of where I'm so overstimulated that I have to do that. So I wonder if I were to be able to do this on a more consistent, regular basis, if I wouldn't get to the point of being overstimulated.
Like a preventative situation.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this is something that I work on with almost all of my clients when it comes to CMPC stuff. Is we're just gonna take right now in the session 2 minutes to just sit and be present in the moment. And just let your mind go where it wants to. Try to bring it back. Don't think ahead. Don't think about what just happened in the past. Think about right now and what you're feeling right now. And the more consistent you are with that, the more self-awareness you have from moment to moment. So you can say, this is what I'm feeling. This is how I want to respond to this situation. So while this person might look like a psychopath from the outside, likely they have pretty strong self-awareness in themselves, and they may be a step ahead of the rest of us, as psychopaths are sometimes.
In the best way.
And what would you rate this one, 1 to 10?
This one's a good one, but I do feel a little called out on it, so I'm gonna put like a 5.5.
Ooh, you're a tough rater. Kyle's were all like 8s and above.
Nah, I'm the Keith Lee of this.
Okay. All right, meme number 3. Me. Okay, I'm feeling really motivated. When I get home, I'm going to sort my life out, get all my work done, and be successful. And then me when I get home, crashed out in bed with probably a good show on and some chips.
How did they get this picture of me? That's rude.
I submitted it to the meme people and they created this for. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I do relate to this one quite a bit. Especially, okay, so when I was doing my full-time, students to get my degree and full-time working, I would, obviously do I would work through my day and then come home and get my homework done. And then I'm like, okay, I've got like an hour or so left. Let me like start to clean up the house, or, let me start no, I would just crash. Like, I was like, and I would always tell myself like, Katie, you're going to get yourself burnt out if you do too much. You need to rest now. which a lot of times is true, but not all the time.
Well, it's good that you recognize that. This is a problem that I see a lot of people struggle with in the world of athletics and outside of it. Is you have all this motivation to change. I want to do all these things, which is awesome, but you overload yourself with doing all those things instead of doing it in little chunks and starting small and then building from there. Because when you get really excited about something and you're like all hyped up, that feeling goes away after a while, right? That motivation goes away after a while. So what you really want to build instead of leaning into that motivation, instead build strong habits, discipline, and routines that don't add so much to your day that you end up crashed out like this person. You want to do it in little bits at a time. I'm going to spend 5 minutes, cleaning up the kitchen, and then I'm going to take a break. I'm going to spend 5 minutes meditating, and then I'll take a break, or whatever it is. And in that way, when you build up these small habits over time, you get a lot more done than just trying to cram it in, and then this happens.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like this is probably one that's pretty relatable for a lot of people. And especially if you have like neither of us have kids, but for people who have kids as well, like a lot of my coworkers, they're all moms, and they're all like, man, like I had a check, just like this meme. I had a checklist. I was going to get this done and this done and help my kid with this. And we got home and we just crashed. And I always tell them like, okay, you're also mothering. You're also just being a human and doing, the things to get you through the day on top of, your job and all the other things and groceries. And it's okay. Give yourself grace.
The only thing that would be different about this meme for me is I'd have my dogs on both sides.
Yeah. Yeah, that spot right in between where, I'm going to point to it as it's going to show up. The spot right where her arm is like this. This is where Rudy would be.
And he would take up that whole side of the bed too.
Yeah. My Rottweiler. He's a massive, massive baby.
Okay, what would you rate this one out of 10?
I like this one. I do an 8.5. 8.5,
nice. Okay, this one reads, come on, inner peace, I don't have all day, with this little guy trying his best. And you felt called out on one of the first ones, and I feel very called out on this one because meditation is not it for me. It is not my skill. I think it's a great skill to have, and I do have my clients practice it when they're struggling to stay focused and stay in the moment. However, I am bad at it. I can't sit for more than like 2 minutes at a time and keep myself from making lists in my head. It just like happens naturally, and to try to turn it off is so challenging for me. So this is me when I'm like, all right, I'm gonna sit down and practice what I preach and like really do the things, and then like 2 minutes go by and I'm like, well, that's it for me today. I did it as best I could.
No, I get that. I think I'm similar. Going back to one of the other memes that we were talking about is like sitting in the moment. Yeah, I just can't. I don't know if it's just because we weren't raised that way, but we just never we were always doing something, you know, like most kids, we were always busy with like sports and school. And um you know, I'm in therapy, and my therapist has worked with this with me as well, but it's the same thing. It's like, I've got things to do. I could be in my brain, this is not productive. This is not getting my checklist done. But my checklist is not always the most accurate representation of what I need to be working on. So
Yeah, it's a tough one for sure, and it's one that I talk about in school. I talked about it a lot. We talked about what skills do we find most effective, and what skills do we, struggle with. And I find meditation very effective when you can do it. I have actually one of my colleagues, he meditates for like 30 minutes a day, every day. And he calls it his superpower, because he says that through this practice, he can basically like slow down time in his mind. And when something crazy is going on, he can really like bring heightened emotions down and respond in a very calm manner. And he's like, I can not make people react in the same way, but it helps to invite people to also react in a more calm manner. And I'm just like,
right.
You're Superman. I don't know.
Teach me your ways.
Yeah, that's amazing, and I'm all about it. It's just, it's a struggle for me.
Yeah, and I like going off what you just said, I was thinking like, man, if I could use that, because in my current position at my job, I'm a supervisor. And so when I have the people I supervise come to me and they're all they're all worked up and everything, like that would be an amazing tool to have. If I can be their calm, and I mean, I do my best to make sure I can, provide them with whatever they need, but this would be a different superpower that I think would be an amazing feature to have. Because like you said, if I were to just sit down and just try and like sit with myself and everything, my brain would automatically just go like, okay, well, here's what we're going to work on when we're done. Here's what we need to get done tomorrow. Da, 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 da. And it's just not, that's anxiety. That's what that is.
So if you had to rate this one, what would you give it?
Well, again, I'm feeling a little targeted with this one again. So it does have an animal in it though, so it does give them more points again. I'll do 6.5.
Awesome.
I got everything in 0.5, so if you haven't caught on.
All right, here's our next meme. It says, "Oh, you don't have any weaknesses? Excellent, because we really only like to hire people with no self-awareness," in a sarcastic tone. I'm sure that's being said. You did a lot of hiring at your current job. What do you think about
this? Is actually such good timing because I am in the process of like doing interviews and stuff right now. Like I'm conducting interviews for my current, not my position, but my current workplace. And we do a handful of like the generic interview questions, and then a handful of kind of like oddball ones to kind of, see how you can think on your feet. And one of them is like, what are your professional strengths? And then what are your weaknesses? Interviewing 101, like one of the basic things is you don't ever not have an answer for this. You need to have something just prepared, and you can Google answers very simply. We actually had someone who we asked that question, like, what are your strengths? And they struggled to answer that question. And, I understand it's hard for some people to talk about themselves. That's a skill in itself as well. But then we also asked about weaknesses. They just went blank and they were like, I'm sorry, I don't know off the top of my head. And it was just like my heart broke inside, because I'm like, I don't think it was coming off in the sense like, oh, I don't have any weaknesses, but they just couldn't come up with anything. And I have that ready for an answer. That's just my tip as someone who has been on both sides of interviews. Have answers prepared for that.
And
because we all have.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, but like, as it doesn't matter really what you say for your weakness, as long as you can turn it in a way and say, but I'm working on it, or let me show you how I've improved on that sort of thing. It really doesn't matter what your weakness is. We're all people. We all have weaknesses. But having that self-awareness is really important for employers to see that, I struggle in this particular area. My answer is always, I take on too much. I want to help everybody. And I'm really efficient, like my time management is like really good, so I feel like I can handle more than I probably can.
Yeah, that's a great way to answer that.
Yeah. So this goes along with a lot of the memes that we've talked about before, is that self-awareness and really knowing what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, and then reflecting on how can I work on those things, or how can I present them in a way where I, show myself in a positive light, even though this is
Right.
technically a weakness.
Right. And also just being able to take accountability. I mean, no one wants to try and train someone who doesn't know how to take accountability. No, I can guarantee no one expects you to walk into a job perfect, or knowing, we understand. And also for me, going into jobs that I'm, stepping into, they're not expecting perfection by any means. But the fact that I can go in and say like, hey, yes, I have absolutely made mistakes. The biggest difference though is I can identify, hey, that was my fault. Please show me how I can, do better going forward and not make this mistake again. Accountability goes a long, long ways.
Totally. One way to build self-awareness, if this is something that you struggle with, or you're unsure to even know how to name those strengths and or weaknesses, is to, I like to do like a T-chart like that. And on one side you put pros, and one side you put cons. And this is specific to whatever performance, competition, job, whatever you're currently working on. These are the things that I do really well, that people have told me that I do really well, or I can watch a video back of myself and I can see that I do really well. And these are the things that I struggle with. And when you write them down, as opposed to having them in your head, it makes it a little bit more solidified and real. And so then you can say, okay, I'm going to pick one of these things on the cons side or the weaknesses side and start to work on that, and then move through your list. So that's a great way to build that self-awareness if you're unsure how to do that.
The good old Rory Gilmore pro-con list.
You can't go wrong with a pro-con list, honestly.
You can't. I live by those.
And what would you rate this meme out of 10?
I like this one. This is a 9. Solid 9.
9. Dang, we're getting up there. All right, so this is our last meme, and Kyle specifically asked that you respond to this one, Katie, because there's a story from our childhood that he finds very entertaining. So I'll let you respond to it, and you can tell the story however you want to.
Okay. I do like this meme that you get a coaching session, you get a coaching session, everyone gets a coaching session. I was the baby, like I said earlier, of the family. And I have a age gap of 4 and 5 years between Chelsea and Kyle. And they're a year apart. And so not a significant, huge difference, but enough to be kind of like the little caboose of the train. And I was very much known as Switzerland of, I wanted to have everyone love each other, everyone get along, want to hang out with everybody, and be the peacemaker, and like, let's all just, come together. And I don't know if I'm explaining that very well, but I remember being referenced towards Oprah very many times because I wanted everyone to always be cohesive.
Yeah, that was definitely something that our mom always said, is Katie is like Oprah. She just wants everybody to get along, and she would give anybody, the shirt off her back if they asked for it. And so that relates to this meme, because Oprah is standing here saying everybody gets a coaching session, which is my ideal situation. If I could give out coaching sessions to everybody so you could see the benefits that you could get from it, I would. And actually, I do offer free 30-minute sessions to see if it's interesting for you. So if you're interested, in the description box below, you can check out my website and or my email to set that up. But everybody gets a coaching session, and I think it's important to note that it doesn't matter if you are in the world of sport or not. Just because sports psychology has the word sport in it doesn't mean it's exclusive just for athletes. I've worked with people who are getting into fitness for the first time, or for the in a long time. I've worked with business employees. I've worked with people who, like, entrepreneurs who are starting their own businesses. I worked with a lot of different demographics. And so it's important to know, when we say everybody can have a coaching session, it literally means everybody. If you have a performance that is important to you in your life, whatever that looks like, that's what we're here for in the world of sports psychology and CMPCs. And Katie will just give you love if you need it.
I just want friends. Everyone can be friends. You go with Chelsea, you get a free friends. Here we go.
It's a heck of a deal, honestly.
No, but I definitely applaud what like you encouraging everyone because while you were still in school for this, and I was around the same time I was getting myself into like mental health therapy. Everyone's needs are different, and not everyone needs therapy, not everyone needs this. But I think your specific what you offer, like you said, it goes to everyone. It's not just people in sports or in business. It can go to even just your day-to-day life, getting yourself in a good mentally tough routine. And so I agree. I think I'm with Oprah on this one. Everyone should get a session. It's you get more in tune with yourself and what, you know, you can do an inventory on yourself and what you're needing and how you can take a better step forward. And so sign up, get a friend.
And what would you rate this last meme out of 10?
I guess I got to end on a good note. I'll do a 10.
We got our first 10. Wow. Amazing. And that was it. Thank you so much, Katie, for joining me on CMPC Reacts to Memes Part 2. I really appreciate that. We're thinking that, Kyle and I were thinking that the next one that we do will have us all together so we can all react at the same time. So stay tuned for that. And thank you, everybody. Thank Katie for coming on to my channel, and you will probably see her again. And do you want to say goodbye to YouTube, Katie?
Yes. Thank you for having me. It was a blast. I hope to be on here again, and I can we can gang up on Kyle like we used to with his lack of knowledge. So I'm ready. I'll see you guys soon. Thank you for having me.
All right. Thanks. See you later, YouTube.